All right, the right wing is getting upset that I'm blaming all of them for what happened at Club Q shooting in Colorado Springs. So sad. So we brought on someone here to agree with me so that we can kick their ass together. Consciously is an educational consultant and a social media influencer. He was the content creator choice of the year in 2022 at YouTube. That's a giant thing. He is in the Hall of Fame for college policy debaters. Conscious, welcome to the show, brother.
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
No problem. Conscious is also now part of our network at youtube.com/TYT Breakdown. Okay, so I'm going to show you part of what he does, and then I want to come back and talk to him about it. But here's a recent video.
On this episode of Conservative Contradictions, we got this guy.
We've seen the critical race theory, the LGBTQ grooming. Well, there is an answer. We stand shoulder to shoulder with Dr. Scarborough. Right now, we as Christian missionaries need to be invading the school boards
that's right.
to take back that ground. We need to be invading public education for those kids that are trapped in it. We need Christian teachers that aren't afraid to stand up for truth and aren't afraid to lose their job if need be to try to reach that mission field that's in there.
You know what really makes my butt itch? Is when conservatives try to weaponize grooming against the LGBT community when there's literally more grooming going in their party and their religion, but they don't want to talk about that right there.
So, Conscious, you often talk about hypocrisy of the right wing, and you have overwhelming evidence when you do, and this is one of those instances. Has there been a giant scandal in a large LGBTQ organization about grooming? No. Has there been one in Boy Scouts, Catholic Church, you name it, in almost every one of these evangelical groups? Yes. Wow. So, gee, I wonder who the groomers are.
Yeah, I think it just shows how some groups have transcendence and make it where whatever they're doing today is what we should hold them by, and some groups should be held by the worst things we can think about. And I feel like when we start kind of creating a binary between things that are straight or groups that are straight and groups that are not straight, or groups that are cisgender and groups that are not cisgender, we see who gets transcendence and who's always stuck to what is known to be, i.e. that group is known for the pedophiles and that group right there is known to be Christians.
Yeah, so you did another video about indoctrination. And so the great irony here is they say, oh no, we can't say gay in Florida, in the Florida schools, for example, because that's going to be indoctrination that they even exist. Then we should hide for people that gay people exist. How is that not indoctrination?
To me, I think it just showed that our education system in America is just trash, dumpster juice. It has failed a lot of us, particularly people that like to, express their conservative values when it comes to about, indoctrination. To me, I think that if you say there's no such thing as a systemic blah, 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 and then you create laws within that system to restrict people doing something, I think that's indicative of proving and illustrating what you say does not exist. And it just shows how the indoctrination, it pretty much shows that our values are bad unless they're for us. And
so we talk about it on TYT all the time, but your video, I watched like 4 in a row, and they were all so good on exactly what their hypocrisy is, right? So Fox News will be indoctrinating people while complaining about indoctrinating kids that liberals are doing, right? They'll say, hey, remember, everybody's being gay is a sin. Doing things that are homosexual acts are a sin. Sin. By the way, it's totally made up, 100% made up. It's not a sin at all. Sin is just a figment of their imagination. And if it is a sin according to the Bible, it is the same exact sin as eating shrimp. They're both in the same part of the Bible. They're both called an abomination. And then they will do indoctrination to get gay people to hate them. Get people to hate gay folks, right? And then they'll say, can you believe gay people are doing indoctrination? Indoctrination to what? That maybe you shouldn't kill us?
I think that the conservative contradictions is saying that you got all the energy for the Constitution when it comes to holding up the values the founding fathers said, at the same time always trying to use your Christian beliefs or your values to dictate what other folks is doing. Because in my mind, it's like if separation from church and state means that we don't get to have your Christian values and your Christian justification for things, to me, it sounds like it's a little contradictory that we then talk about this conversation about, to me, the LGBT community in terms of politics is always pushed into a conversation of religiosity. To me, it is shown that it's like conservative cap and a contradiction.
Yeah. Oh, we don't want their culture. Their culture is terrible. But remember, everybody, we want to institute our culture inside the government.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, the hypocrisy is so obvious, yet we get gaslit by the media. So, but that's partly what I want to talk about. So, Conscious, it's just out of curiosity, where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Bryan, Texas. I grew up in Bryan, College Station, Texas. My mayor and my governor was Republican my entire life for the most part. And I think that when I give these staunching criticisms or analysis, don't get it twisted. I was born and raised in a conservative territory, and my education was dictated by conservative, values. So, if conservatives mad, don't be mad at me. Be mad at the conservatives that was running my state, running my city, running my curriculum. They created it. They gotta deal with me now.
Well, that's right. And they're not having an easy time dealing with you. So I'm rather enjoying that. So what did make you go, wait a minute, I'm not sure any of this is right. They're teaching me X, Y, and Z, but come to find out that maybe it's not A, B, and C. Was there a moment of epiphany? Did it gradually dawn on you? Talk me through how you realized the community that you grew up in, meaning the town and the state, et cetera, didn't have it exactly right.
To be honest with you, it wasn't until college for the most part. It wasn't fully until I got into college. Now, I graduated as a senior when Barack Obama was elected. So I was starting to be able to see how a lot of individuals that was real, had a whole bunch of energy for patriotism and the values of America and standing up for the flag and always already supporting who the president of the United States is because they're commander in chief. I saw a lot of those people switch it up literally November 5th, 2008 after Barack Obama was elected. So that kind of made me like, that's a little suspicious. And then being real is when I got to college, the University of Oklahoma, and then I learned how Fox News and a lot of right-wing news wasn't really news, and it wasn't as objective as I thought it was. And then really how I would end this little response is, think about it. A fish does not know it's in the water. So you think about me being born and raised in a conservative place, it's like I didn't know it was conservative. I thought it was the norm, it was the regular, until I was able to go into one of those liberal hotbeds.
Okay. But that's partly why they don't want you to go into college, right? And they don't want you getting educated because otherwise you won't get the actual facts. So my question though in that regard is they think that when you go to college, you get indoctrinated with things that aren't true. That makes you lose your roots of things that are true. Is that what you experienced or did you experience the reverse?
Yeah, I would say I definitely experienced the reverse. A lot of the misconceptions about colonialism, about white supremacy, about, me should be happy that my ancestors were saved from primitive status and being able to give Christianity. There's a lot of misconceptions I think that goes on in the public curriculum. And really what happened was when I got to college, I learned how to research. So once I was able to figure out a lot of the faces and spaces that were, a lot of the faces that was pushing narratives to lock up my family members was a lot of the same faces that was pushing the curriculum. It really started making me be able to see what was going on. So like we all know that Christopher Columbus didn't discover, America. That it was a misconception taught from coast to coast. Colleges are usually able to be like, yeah, that's an indigenous erasure. And there's some things that we should think about, indigenous cultures in this way. And that's really what conservatives scared about.
Yeah, and if you're in the audience and you're like, well, you guys say this and other guys say that, how do I know what's true? Well, there are facts. So Christopher Columbus wasn't the first person to discover America, and you guys know that, right? And Christopher Columbus did horrific things. And you can say, hey, it was at the time everybody was doing it, although you have journals from priests, actually Christians at the time going, I can't believe the things Christopher Columbus is doing. It's way worse than anything I've ever seen in my entire life, right? So those are facts. And Constance, I saw you do a video about this. But when it comes to high school, a lot of communities, like the conservative one you grew up in, come in and say, Now, wait a minute, you have to teach history. So we're not gonna take down this monument of a Confederate general because that's part of our history. But then do they teach you the whole history?
No. I think I feel like conservatives has been able to master how to create a narrative, to use a whole bunch of fear mongering and paranoia. I think that if we talk about, a Robert E. Lee statue, and we're able to recognize that Robert E. Lee he put his life on the line to keep me and my ancestors on the plantation, but we believe that that's just looking at all the bad parts of America, and that's just leftist propaganda. I think that shows, and to me, illustrates another conservative contradiction that says you really don't care about real history the way you say you do.
Again, it's undeniable. It's not an accident that Conscious is in the debating Hall of Fame, etc. Okay, you should watch the videos because they have facts that are just indisputable. And so everybody go to youtube.com/TYT breakdown and you'll get more Conscious videos. Check him out wherever you find him. He's an amazing content creator. So thanks for joining us, Conscious. We appreciate it.
Yeah.